Dear students, I have come with the new module, Statistical Investigation. Now, what is statistical investigation? It's a survey or enquiry for searching the truth with the help of statistical methods. We know that statistics we are collecting data and we are using for planning and making policy decisions. So, it's very important to do the statistical investigation properly. So, in this module, I am going to explain how we can do a statistical investigation properly. First thing you have to remember that in a statistical investigation, numerical data is collected. Say for example, we are conducting a survey to know about the spending patterns of students studying in Bangalore colleges. So that means we will collect the data about Bangalore students and how they are spending the data, how much pocket money they are getting, how much they are spending for entertainment, how much they are spending for food, clothing, shelter, fees. All these details we will collect. So this will be helpful in making some policy decisions. Now, there are two types of statistical survey. One is special purpose survey and second one is general purpose survey. So what is special purpose survey? Special purpose survey meaning a survey in which data obtained may be useful in analyzing a particular problem. See, for example, if you see the papers today, farmers are advised by Karnataka government to do dairy farming for better income. So if we conduct a statistical survey, this will be helpful only to make policy decisions about farmers. That is why it's called special purpose survey. Now we are coming to the general purpose survey. In this survey, data collected can be used for different purposes. So for example, customer satisfaction evaluation of internet service providers. So now you know that everybody is using internet. So how it customer satisfaction. So this can be used for different policy decisions. How much data they are using, what are the expectations, so many things we can collect in that. So this will be helpful for wide variety of population. Similarly, the census data collected by government. This also we are using for different policy decisions. We will get the details about household income, number of members in the family, the pension requirements, what are their sources of income, the number of members in the family, lot of details we will collect. In the census survey, we are collecting lot of information and that can be used by the government for different policy decisions. So then it is called a general purpose survey. Now we are coming to the next stage, that is stages of statistical investigation. So statistical investigation, we are dividing into two main headings. First one is planning and preparation and second one is execution of the survey. So now I am going to give you the sub-points for planning and preparation. So first one is object of inquiry, second is scope of inquiry, third is sources of data, methods of data collection, nature and type of inquiry, choice of a format or construction of a format if none is available, then degree of accuracy required, definition of the unit of data collection, and selection and training of enumerators and supervisory staff. So now we are going to see that each point in detail. Now first point is the purpose or object of inquiry. So in that purpose or object of inquiry, this is the most important thing. What you are planning to achieve by conducting this survey. So what your objective should be clearly mentioned or be clearly decided before conducting the statistical inquiry. Otherwise the money you had spent, the resources you had spent, the time you had spent will be a waste. So it's very important. The purpose or object of inquiry should be clearly decided and you should have the proper planning also. So the entire designing of survey is based on the object of survey. Now this will decide the scope of inquiry. What is the population? What is the area you have to cover? Whether you are going to use the primary data or secondary data. Which method of statistical technique you are using for analyzing. So all this will be covered in the purpose or object of inquiry. The purpose of statistical inquiry can be either to support, disprove or test the validity of a theory concerning the population. See, the spending habit of people change pre-COVID and post-COVID. So there is usually a theory. So now you want to support this, disprove this, or you want to test that actual validity of the theory. So that you can do with the statistical investigation. To know the existing nature of the population. So the existing nature of the population, how they have dealt with COVID-19 pandemic, what all the problems they faced. So this is a new thing you can study with the help of statistical techniques. To formulate a new theory concerning the population, how the population will behave post COVID-19. So that is a new theory we have to form. Many research is going on in that, pre-COVID and post-COVID. This will create a new theory for the population. So there are three things, that is, either you are conducting a statistical survey to support, disprove or test the validity of a theory concerning the population. Second one is to know the existing nature of the population, how they are behaving. Based on that, business organizations and government has to take appropriate decisions. Third one is to formulate a new theory concerning the population. Now, the second point is scope of inquiry. The scope of inquiry is based on a sample or census survey. Now, what is the difference between a sample survey and a census survey? Census survey meaning from the entire population you have to collect the data. And usually census survey is conducted by government once in 10 years. Because they have the resources, they have the time, they can do that. Whereas if an individual will try to collect information from a vast population, especially in a country like India, it's not possible. Whereas if it's for a district, for an individual it's possible, for a state it may be possible. So that is the difference between sample study and census survey. Census survey meaning the entire population you are collecting the information. Whereas sample meaning you will draw a picture from the population, or you draw one section from the population and then you study that in detail. So the statistical rule is that if you study one portion of the population, the other population also we can assume that they will also behave in the same way. So this sample survey results we can generalize for the population. So sample survey also will give you appropriate result. Census survey also will give you appropriate result. But one thing you have to remember, you have to decide based on the resources available, time available and money available. So usually census survey is conducted only by government because they have the resources to do that. Now the second point I want to tell you that the scope of statistical inquiry is based on three factors. One is the object of inquiry. What is your object? The last slide we have seen that three objectives are there. So based on that, if you are trying to prove a new theory, or you are trying to learn the existing population, or you are creating or approving or disproving existing theory, in that case, what is your object that you have to decide? Based on that, you have to decide whether you are going for a sample survey or census survey. Second thing you have to remember, availability of time. Time is very important. In some cases, when you are doing a research, you have to present the report immediately. You may not get much time. Maybe it's 3 months or 6 months or 1 year. So you have to decide based on the available time. Then it's available resources. See, if you are trying to collect information from the entire state, you should have the resources to do that. You are not a government official or you are not a government organization. That means you have to arrange. If you are getting good funding, you can think about that. Otherwise, your resources will be a limitation for conducting an extensive survey. So these things are very important. The object of inquiry you have to consider. The available time you have to consider. The availability of resources you have to consider. Now we are coming to the sources of data. So primary data is there and secondary data is there. So sources of data we are dividing into two. First one is primary data, second one is secondary data. Now what is primary data? Primary data meaning, if as an investigator, if I am collecting data for the first time, it's primary data for me. See, if I am collecting data about the spending pattern of students in Bangalore campuses, then that means it's primary data for me. Whereas secondary data meaning, imagine the data I collected, some other researcher is using that information with my permission. That means it will be secondary data for the new researcher or the new investigator. Another example if I'll give, census data collected by the government once in 10 years. It has got lot of information. Many researchers will use that information. It is primary data for the government, but it is secondary data for the researchers who are using the information. Now, methods of data collection, we are dividing into census method and sampling method. Census method, I told you, the entire population you have to cover. It can be a district, it can be a state, it can be a village, it can be a panchayat, anything. Whereas sample meaning you are drawing a proportion of the population and you are studying that in detail. So that is the sample method. We are going to explain that sampling method and census method in detail. Now just for your understanding, you have to remember two things. One is census method meaning studying the entire population, and sample meaning you are just taking a portion of the population and you are studying in detail. And our assumption is that whatever the results we get for the sample, we can generalize for the population. Now, nature and scope of enquiry. So there are 5 types of nature and scope of enquiry. We can divide into 5. One is official, semi-official or non-official. Second one is confidential or non-confidential. Next is regular or ad hoc. Then it is initial or repetitive, and direct or indirect. So first one, if you say that official, semi-official or non-official. See, official meaning usually central government, state government and all, they will do the survey. So that will be official. Second one is semi-official, RBI, LIC, IDBI. All this they will conduct some survey sometimes to know about the saving pattern, expenditure pattern, credit card, debit card details, spending habits of people. All this they will conduct the survey. Then it is known as semi-official. Non-official meaning it is done by anybody, any private agency or a private organization. If they are doing that, then it will be non-official. Second category is confidential or non-confidential. See, confidential information, sometimes CBI will conduct some confidential information. Before they will take action against somebody, they will conduct a confidential information. The idea is that they will keep that information confidential. They will not reveal the results to the outside world. It will be within the organization. Sometimes government also will conduct such surveys. Whereas non-confidential meaning it will be a public document. Everybody can witness that or everybody can see that. See, if the census results, once the government will compile that, they will publish it widely. Similarly, RBI will conduct certain surveys. National Savings Organization will conduct certain surveys. They will declare that result for the general public. They will give it to everybody. It will be in the public domain. Everybody can use that information. So that is non-confidential. Next is regular or ad hoc. Regular meaning they are conducting the information on a regular basis. See, newspapers and magazines or TV channels, they want to know about their viewership. So every day they are collecting that, they are checking that information. So regular information they are collecting. Ad hoc meaning it is not on a regular basis. As and when they want to do something, then they will collect that information. See, for example, any company, when they want to change their advertising campaign or marketing campaign, then or when they are introducing a new product, they will conduct a survey. That will be ad hoc. It is not repetitive. Only when they want to make some policy changes, they are doing that. Next one is initial or repetitive. Initial meaning for the first time you are collecting some information or you are conducting a survey. Say for example, the impact of COVID-19 in a country like India. That's an initial survey. Whereas repetitive meaning, see the census survey, every 10 years government is repeating. So that is a repetitive survey. Next one is direct or indirect. Direct information or direct investigation meaning certain variables you can collect directly. See for example, income of a person, height of a person, weight of a person, you can collect directly. Whereas indirect meaning, if it's honesty, if it's some qualitative information, honesty, intelligence, trustworthiness, all this if you can collect, you cannot collect directly. What you will do, you have a technique called scaling technique. So we will collect the qualitative information, the level of satisfaction. We will divide into 5 scales. That means 5 points. Highly satisfied, not highly satisfied, somewhat satisfied. Like that we will give 5 options. So whatever option they are giving, they will get 1 point. But that is not the direct information. So then using scaling technique, we will convert that information and we will get some information or we will get some numerical data based on that. So that is the difference between direct investigation and indirect investigation. So direct investigation, you have to remember that we can collect the direct information. See like height, weight, income, expenditure, all that directly you can measure. Whereas indirect meaning, if it's qualitative information, we cannot collect directly. We will collect the qualitative information and using scaling techniques, we will convert that into numerical values. So these are the types of Enquiry, statistical enquiry, and 5 types are there. Nature and scope of enquiry we have divided into 5, and these are the 5 types. Now the choice of a frame. So this frame, you have to remember that statistical frame refers to a list, a map, or a directory which contains the available information relating to the population selected for the survey. See, for example, I want to conduct a survey about Bangalore. So that meaning I should know that there should be a map for Bangalore. So that will be my frame. Whereas if I want to conduct a survey about all the Bangalorean, all the people living in Bangalore, then I have to prepare a list of people living in Bangalore. I have to approach the government agencies and I have to make that list. Sometimes the list will be readily available. If it is not readily available, I have to make a list because I am going to do the research. So a frame can be either a list or a map or a directory. See, for example, you have seen the telephone directory. So that meaning whoever having the telephone number, all the details will be there. So sometimes a directory can be a sample frame. So that meaning statistical frame meaning a list, a map, or a directory which contains the available information relating to the population selected for the survey. So whatever population you have defined, based on that you have to prepare a statistical frame. Then degree of accuracy required. There are 2 things you have to remember in this. One is the degree of accuracy that can be attained with the help of available resources. See, for example, if you are doing a scientific experiment, 0.4 places, 4 decimals accuracy we will expect in a scientific experiment. Whereas the degree of accuracy required when you are measuring the income. See, if somebody will ask me the salary if I am getting, I may not give the exact figure, but we will assume that if you will ask somebody about the salary, then they will give only a rough estimate. Or if somebody will ask me about my monthly expenditures, I may not have the actual value with me. So, but I can give you a rough value. So that is the degree of accuracy required. So when you are doing a statistical investigation or a statistical survey, you have to decide what is the degree of accuracy you require or what is the degree of accuracy you can achieve. So that will decide the success of the statistical investigation. Then definition of the unit of data collection. So here you have to remember that, see, for example, if I am conducting a survey about the saving habits of households in Bangalore. So what I will do? The unit, statistical unit will be each and every household in Bangalore. That is my statistical unit. Another things, the related terms you have to remember with this point is the person who conducts the survey is called the investigator. Imagine if I am conducting the survey, then that means I am the investigator. I am studying about the saving habits of households in Bangalore. So I am the investigator. The next point you have to remember, persons from whom the information is collected is known as respondents. So I got the population, so then the selected households will be my respondents. So the Bangalore city is my population and selected households. From the Bangalore city, if I am selecting 1000 households, so each and every household will be my respondent. Now, the third point you have to remember, items on which measurement is taken is known as the statistical unit. So, I will go to this household or to the respective houses and I will ask them the questions with the help of my questionnaire. So, there will be information about income, how many people are working, how many dependents are there, what are the age of the respondents, all these details, what all savings they have, all these details I will collect. So, these are the items I am measuring. So, that is known as statistical unit. So, items on which the measurement is taken is known as statistical unit. So, I will repeat, the person who is conducting the survey is the investigator. The persons from whom I am collecting the information is known as respondents, and the items on which measurement is taken is known as statistical unit. So, in my survey, I will be collecting information about age of the respondents, dual income family, the number of dependents, income, expenditure, their savings, all this I will collect. The next point is selection and training of enumerators and supervisors. This is very, very important. See, when we are talking about statistical survey, if it's a small survey, we can conduct ourselves. A single person can conduct that. Maybe it's for covering a survey of 100 respondents or 200 respondents or 300 respondents. More than that. Or if the area you are going to cover is more, within the district or within the state, the entire population you want to cover, it's not possible for one person to do that. So when you're deciding the survey and you have decided the population, the next thing is that you have to make your resources ready. So that means you are sending people to collect the information. So they are going to collect the information from the respondents. So they should be properly trained. What are the questions you can ask? See, sometimes they may not be ready to give the information. So they have to twist the questions accordingly. They have to come to the level of the language they are comfortable in asking. They have to ask their convenient time for collecting information. And the supervisors also should be training the enumerators accordingly. They have to tell them, you have to take an appointment and collect the information. I have seen that many times people will send me a mail asking for a detailed questionnaire with 10 pages, 12 pages and all. Nobody will give you the reply for that. Nobody has the time to do that. Whereas if you are getting an appointment and you are telling that this is the purpose of the survey, I am coming, can I come at your convenient time and ask for that? So then they will respond positively. And I can communicate with the language they are comfortable. I can twist the questions. I can collect additional information also sometimes. So you have to plan and properly train the enumerators and supervisors, emphasizing that this is what we want to achieve from the survey. So accordingly we have to plan our survey and we have to collect the information, because once you collect the information, again you cannot go back to the respondents and you cannot collect the information. That is not possible. It's waste of time, waste of resources, and respondents also may not be ready to cooperate with the investigators. So that's very important. First time when you're collecting the information, then and there itself, whatever possible information you have to collect. So selection and training of enumerators and supervisors play an important role in conducting the statistical survey properly. Now, the second main category is the execution of the survey. Once you plan the survey properly, the execution of the survey is very simple. So first one is collecting the data. So we have seen that we are training the enumerators, we are training the supervisors, and we are collecting the data. Then you have to remember that scrutiny, editing and presentation of data. See, the data collected you have to properly present in the form of tables, diagrams, graphs and all. So when you have, see, some questionnaire, if you are not able to collect the complete information, that means you will avoid that questionnaire. Wherever you are able to collect the full information, that only you will use for your analysis. The third step is analysis of data. Whatever data you have collected, you are going to analyze that. That you are using statistical techniques, maybe correlation, regression, time series. Any statistical technique we can use for analyzing the data. Then you are coming to the interpretation of analyzed data. When you are getting certain results, what is the interpretation of conducting that survey? What is your result by analyzing the data? And the final step is very, very important. You have to write a proper report. Always I will emphasize that the report should be brief. And if there is no point in giving detailed information. So however you can present that information in a condensed form. So the proper writing of the report plays an important role, because that is the valid document you are sharing with the organization sponsored the research, or you are publishing it as a research paper. So people have to make use of that. So then it has to get the attention of the policy makers. It should be helpful for the people. You had spent so much time, resources, everything. So somebody has to get the advantage out of that. So that plays an important role. That is the last step. That is the report writing. So this is what I want to explain with this module, and happy learning. Thank you.